Joe Biden's 2024 State of the Union address was one long, divisive pep rally for Democrats.
Hate, anger, revenge, retribution are the oldest of ideas. But you can't lead America with ancient ideas that only take us back.
Throughout the speech, the president goaded Republicans and repeatedly targeted Donald Trump without once actually saying his name.
My predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th. I will not do that. This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lies.
Typically, such speeches make at least an attempt at reaching across the aisle, if only as a gesture. This one had none, not even on the issue of aid to Ukraine, where Mr. Biden needs Republican support.
If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not.
Yes, Mr. Biden made a good, if incomplete, argument for supporting Ukraine.
Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons that needs to defend itself.
But he made the dreadful mistake of comparing Russia's threat to democracy to the threat to democracy at home, for which there's no comparison.
Assistance to Ukraine is being blocked by those who want to walk away from our world leadership.
Worse still, the knock-on effect of Mr. Biden's comments may have made it harder for GOP members of Congress to resist Donald Trump and vote to send weapons to Ukraine.
Now my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, do whatever the hell you want.
Given the foreign threats to democracy, Mr. Biden could have made a bipartisan appeal to increase defense spending, but the president would rather spend and spend on everything else instead.
Here in this chamber tonight are families whose loved ones are still being held by Hamas.
On Israel, after pledging to bring hostages home, he then launched into a lecture about morality and civilians, a much more forceful reproof than he gave Hamas.
More than 30,000 Palestinians have been killed, most of whom are not Hamas. I've been working nonstop to establish an immediate ceasefire that would last for 6 weeks to get all the prisoners released, all the hostages released.
It was a blatant attempt to pacify his party's anti-Israel left. But it may have consequences on the ground in the Middle East, where adversaries will wonder about the US's commitment to our closest ally in the region.
My predecessor came to office determined to see Roe v. Wade overturned. He's the reason it was overturned, and he brags about it.
Mr. Biden demeaned the Supreme Court on abortion, suggesting the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade was partisan and political.
It's a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court majority wrote the following, and with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power. Electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you're right about that.
The truth is that the Dobbs decision, as correct as it was under the Constitution, has been a political boon for Democrats.
If you, the American people, send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, I promise you, I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again.
Mr. Biden sneered at Republicans who voted against his spending bills, but whose states are now receiving some of the federal largesse. He also said Republicans want to cut Social Security in order to cut taxes for the rich.
If anyone here tries to cut Social Security, Medicare, or raise the retirement age, I will stop you.
In reality, Republicans have expressly refused to get anywhere near close to reforming entitlements in this Congress, despite the urgent need to fix problems that may soon become bankrupt.
The Border Patrol Union has endorsed this bill. The Federal Chamber of Commerce is, You're saying low. Look at the facts.
On border security, after an initial surge of support from Democrats, Mr. Biden was heckled by Marjorie Taylor Greene following the death of a nursing student.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of the thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself.
There was another pause to proceedings when the father of a fallen Marine had to be removed from the audience after shouting at the president. There's much in the speech to critique on policy and to correct on the potted history of his presidency.
Wages keep going up, inflation keeps coming down.
But policy wasn't his point. This was a campaign rally disguised as a State of the Union.
The issue facing our nation isn't how old we are. It's how old are our ideas?